and there was much rejoicing.
Okay.
Welcome, form-changing robots, demons, and there's not enough episode to come up with a third one, to the 235th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 13th of December, 2017, and featuring The King's Demons, written by Terrence Dudley, and starring Peter Davison as the Doctor, Janet Fielding as Tegan, Mark Strickson as Turlo, and Anthony Ainley as the Master, and introducing Gerald Flood as the voice of Kamelion. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
I knew you'd get a chuckle out of that, Vixie.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Good evening.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
I'm back on Gaia Online. Help!
and that's it for the time being, although Tim the Enchanter will be joining us after he finishes some prior commitments, and we do have some thoughts and ratings from Thomas Fireheart, who was not feeling well enough to join us for this stream.
Okay. So, yes, Bill is back after taking a week off to work on his finals, and which are not done.
Nope, not all of them.
But he has at least had the chance to backwatch some stuff. He'll be giving his review of Shame later. But at the moment, we have actually, I thought this was going to be almost a zero news week, and it's turned out to be light but tolerable. But first
Lots
of all,
of little fluff to go through.
Lots of little fluff pieces. But we went through about 3/4 of the week with nothing but, hey, look, there's a trailer. So we'll get to that in a moment. Before we do that, we've got birthdays, and that's the one thing that this week didn't skimp on. I'm
Nope.
going to try to go through these as fast as I'm going to call this week Birthday Palooza. As we start on the 7th of December with the birthday of Wendy Padbury, who played Zoe Harriet in 1968-69 and reprised it for The Five Doctors in 83, turned 70. Wendy has retired some time ago, so isn't active at all on stage or screen. And she currently resides in France, so I don't even think she does Big Finish working at all. Yeah. Happy birthday, Wendy. We move on to the 8th of December, and Jenny Linden, who you're going, who the hell is that? That was Barbara in the old Doctor Who and the Daleks movie with Peter Cushing. She turned 78. While Jenny is still active, it's mostly on stage, and she doesn't have any credited screen appearances since an episode of Casualty in 1995. That's right. It's been 22 years since she has been on screen of any kind.
At least she's keeping busy.
Apparently she's active on stage, but... Anyway, moving on to the 9th of December, we have a couple of birthdays here. The first one is Eric Seward, the writer and script editor from 1981 to 1986, so active during the time that we're of the episode that we're reviewing tonight. He turned 73. Eric hasn't done much since his resignation from Doctor Who in 1986, other than documentaries and DVD commentaries. From where he doesn't even do anything for Big Finish, so he retired from the writing, script editing business after, I guess, the bad experience he had with John Nathan Turner.
Rumor has it he hides in the bushes looking for companions to kill.
Also, on the 9th of December, is Waris Hussein, the director from 63-64, the first director involved in Doctor Who, turned 79. Waris doesn't do much directing these days, but he's always quick to talk about the early days of Doctor Who interviews, documentaries, and occasionally participates in fan productions like last year's Tale of a Time Lord. Plus, he finally came out to his family early this year, so congratulations. Apparently, he had been hiding the fact that he was gay from his family. Moving on to the 10th of December, it's Anthony Coburn, writer from 63, wrote basically the first serial. He would have been 90, but died in 1977 at 49. Moving on to the 11th of December is Ben Browder, known as Isaac in A Town Called Mercy, but better known as John Crichton from a little show called Farscape, and also from later seasons of Stargate SG-1. Ben turned 55. He gets a mention on this list because while he only ever appeared once in Doctor Who, he is famous from his other geek works. Ben was in 3 movies this year, most notably a small part as a Sovereign Admiral in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh.
So that kind of makes a different hat trick.
That's a different kind of hat trick, yeah.
Because normally it's Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek. But actually, that's a quad.
He's done Farscape, Doctor Who, and Marvel.
Farscape, Doctor Who, Marvel, and Stargate.
And Stargate, yeah.
He's done 4.
He's done 4, and it's a totally legit different hat trick.
Yeah, and the fact that he's working with Disney means he could wind up in a Star Wars movie.
Could end up in a Star Wars movie, and could also get bigger roles in Marvel.
And could wind up playing an admiral in a Star Trek movie.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Tarantino has his way. You never know.
Never know.
Anyway, also on the 11th of December is Richard Matthews, who was the original Rassilon in the 5 Doctors, the floating head.
The mighty Rassilon.
He would have been 103, but died in 1992 at 77. Anyway, we'll still say a posthumous happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Moving on to the 12th of December, it is the birthday of Sarah Sutton, who played Nyssa. Would have been great to have had this birthday last week.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sarah turned 56. She's not doing much outside of the Big Finish main range these days, but she has been a part of their lineup since the company was pretty much formed. Keep the audios coming, Sarah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also on the 12th of December is another one of these special, only acted in Doctor Who once, but known for other works, and that's Bill Nye.
Not that Bill Nye.
Not Bill Nye Science Guy, Bill Nye. Who played Dr. Black in Vincent and the Doctor, but is better known to Hitchhiker's fans as Slarty Bartfist from the movie.
And I know him as, I believe his name was Vincent in Underworld.
Quite possibly, yes.
Underworld, yeah, he was in Underworld and a couple other things, I think.
He turned 68.
He was the father from Shaun of the Dead.
Bill has been this year in the film The Bookshop, on television in the special Resnose Day Actually, and in video games as the speaker in Destiny 2. So he's keeping himself busy.
Yeah.
And then finally, on the 13th of December, today is the birthday of Hamish Wilson, who played the alternate Jamie from The Mind Robber when I think the actual Jamie had the flu or something.
He was either sick or he had a vacation that he's forced to take or something like that.
I believe he was sick.
I'm pretty sure it was that he was ill. Otherwise, he would have been trying to stay there.
Yeah, it was like the measles or the mumps or something. Anyway, so they replaced him for like 2 episodes with Hamish Wilson.
Yeah, they write in an excuse for it.
But technically, he was Jamie, which is a companion, so he deserves to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Hamish turned 75. He isn't doing much in the acting field these days. I looked up anything for him, and there's nothing there. I couldn't even find a more up-to-date picture. So he's either retired or only on stage.
Which happens a lot.
It could just be that he got out of the acting biz.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all of the birthdays we have. Happy birthday again to Wendy, Jenny, Eric, Waris, Anthony, Ben, Richard, Sarah, Bill, and Hamish.
Hamish.
Never enough birthdays.
Oh,
right.
Wait, there'll be some week where it's ultimate birthday palooza, and I've got like 20 names, and I'm sitting here going, ah!
Yeah,
we
we've
we
had
can't
that.
even describe all you people. You did
gotta
this
be
role.
the,
You did this role. You did this role.
You gotta do
And-
the Hot Wheel announcer voice.
No, not the Hot Wheel. The
That was the
Micro
Micro
Machine Man.
Machines.
Micro Machines,
Micro
yeah.
Machine. That's right. You're
Aw,
correct.
man, I
I'm
miss
I'm
Micro
mistaken.
Machines. I love tiny cars.
I think they're still around.
Didn't
think
the
so,
Micro
too.
Machine Man wind up voicing a Transformer?
Yes,
Yes, I think so.
It was like Blur or something.
something like that. I believe he got introduced in the movie.
I just
Yeah.
remember the micro machines that fit inside other micro machines. They were like mini, ultra tiny micro machines.
See, I don't remember the Micro Machines other than the commercials and the Micro Machine Man.
Hmm.
Because he was an auctioneer, which is how he got that patter.
Hmm.
And able to just talk rapid fire like that, but he made a career out of it briefly in the 80s.
Only in the 80s.
Yep. So go ahead, Aaron. I believe you
On
have
to
some episode
series
news.
news. Yeah, our episode news. All right. So first up, we've got a whole collection of scripts are being released for download. Starting with the latest one is Thin Ice by Sarah Dullard. In PDF format. Then you've got from Series 3, Smith and Jones by Russell T Davies. Series 9, you'll have The Magician's Apprentice by Stephen Moffat, The Witch is Familiar by Stephen Moffat, Face the Raven by Sarah Dollard, Heaven Sent by Stephen Moffat, Hellbent by Stephen Moffat. Series 10, you'll have The Pilot by Stephen Moffat, Oxygen by Jamie Matheson. And that's it. That's all it's been listed for now. But they keep uploading them, and you can keep downloading them.
This is, of course, very interesting for people that want to learn how to write, learn how to script write, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And also just interesting to see, how things are written versus said. What did the actors actually bring to the scripts?
Do you remember when they started doing this?
It was about a year or two ago because I think they started it with Series 9. I think
8 or 9, yeah.
I think I remember us
okay.
talking about them releasing The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch is Familiar.
I wish I had remembered that when we all took home scripts for script writing class, because I would have downloaded one of them. I hadn't
But
thought,
yeah, it was
I hadn't
about
thought
then.
to do that.
And then Russell T thought that was a good idea and gave out the Smith and Jones script, and of course Moffat really likes the idea because half the ones out there are his.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him feel happy that he's sharing his work.
Well, look at it this way: if they ever take them down, would they be worth anything? I mean, they're not original scripts, but
No, they're not really. I mean, actual original filming scripts are valuable in auctions,
Yeah.
but these
Yeah, but
copies aren't.
this is just
The
meh.
thing is, and something like this, like taking it down, if it happened, all that would happen is that torrent sites would get a few extra hits from people who wanted them. Like, you wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
sell them.
yeah. So it is just more of an educational type thing, or for people who are just curious to see any changes. Because remember when we got a hold of scripts?
Yeah, but
And we know
those were very early drafts.
Oh
They
yeah,
were-
the point of that one was that those were early scripts that
Well,
were
I think had been sent over for the subtitlers to start
Right.
translating.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of
For
them,
episodes
but
that hadn't
still,
been
there's
aired yet.
always the possibility that scripts will reveal some deeper stuff, as we've seen with like the Force Awakens scripts that we've seen that have led to many theories.
Yeah, again, those are also drafts, I
Mhm.
believe. Because usually Disney's pretty tight on the shooting scripts, so.
No.
Oh, wait, no, Force Awakens, yeah, the actual filming script should be out now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And they've been reviewed, and there's been a few. There's
There's a
been
few
like
interesting
side
notes.
sentences. Yeah, a
Now
few
that
notes made
said,
on them.
especially something like Star Wars where there's multiple writers,
Mm-hmm.
just because a note appears in the script, if it's like a story note for character motivation or something like that, if it doesn't make it on screen that way, the next writer can totally change it as long as it's okay with the
Mhm.
higher ups and everything.
Yeah, and these aren't handwritten notes. These are actually typed into
No,
the
I
dialogue.
get that. I'm saying, but if
the
it's
dialogue.
part of the script, but it's not
Mhm.
part of the dialogue,
Yeah.
then the next writer can always ignore it.
Well,
As
the
long
next,
as
ri-
there's
the next,
something
ri- the next writer
higher up.
pulled out a black pen and crossed it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not gonna follow that trend. Moving on.
Yeah.
All right, so Twice Upon a Time, we've got a new trailer, which we can't show you, but you can watch for
Mhm.
yourself.
It's not really anything new. Per
I was
se.
gonna say it's a lot of the same.
Yeah, we can't really play it, but I can show you little freeze frames of it.
Is that the first time they bickered about wearing sunglasses inside?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
But really, that really doesn't tell us anything new about the episode. Just
And
that
Tells
just
us
that 1
that
and
Peter
10 are
Capaldi-
bickering.
Yeah, it tells us that Peter Capaldi is modern and young and hip, and
Mhm.
that the first Doctor is old and traditional.
Yes, but we already knew that.
Exactly.
in the previous one, did he talk to Bill about being alive? Bill, you're alive, or something like that?
Yeah, I
didn't
think
quite
we've
hear
seen
it.
that before.
Okay.
I didn't think he talked to her in this one, did he?
He did. He turned to her, and she's like, or I can't quite remember it now, but
Okay.
it's just a small exchange. So.
And last week, did we cover like the interviews talking about her role and such?
Yes.
Yeah, about how originally she wasn't going to be in it, and then
Yeah.
they decided to add her later.
Yeah, we covered that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know you. The Doctor Who official YouTube channel uploaded it after our podcast, so I didn't realize that had already been.
It was
covered
on. It had been on
beforehand.
Cultbox.
It was already on Callbox or something, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that afterward.
Mhm.
If it's on Cultbox and I decide it's newsworthy, I'll grab it. So, provided Cultbox is working.
They're not on a month-long vacation.
Yeah, well, I've been every now and then I go to access them this week, and I've been getting 503, so their server's still a little bit hinky.
Derp.
Net neutrality.
Oh God,
That vote is tomorrow.
That's a completely different kettle of fish.
Oh yeah.
That's going to affect everything.
Are Amazon and Google still fighting because they really need to turn around and focus on this shit?
They do, and it's probably too late now.
It's been too late for a while because everybody that's on every single branch of government that would be dictating this is all supporting revoking the laws because they're being paid to by freaking big cable and the telecommunications committees.
Well,
it's,
when the bottom falls out, don't blame us.
And it's, of course, the guy heading up the FCC was appointed by Trump.
I wasn't shouting blame at Trump, but yes.
Yeah.
Blame the government, period. The government's full of garbage.
Yeah, this is one of the things that you can almost directly attribute to something that this person was hired by Trump to do this, basically.
No, they're basically hired by the Koch brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump technically, I think, is hired by the Koch brothers, although it might be Russia. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Cultbox's next article. We've got nine topics that they've come up from the Q&A session. Hosted. It featured Joe Wiley hosted it. Featured Mark Gatiss, Stephen Moffat, and David Bradley and Pearl Mackie. So, Stephen Moffat, one of the things that we don't know.
This was, by the way, the press screening.
Yeah, this is the press screening. So, he did write a key speech that was inspired by a question from a young fan. That fan had asked this question during the Series 10 opener, or first screening for the Series 10 opener, the pilot. And it sat with Stephen Moffat for long enough that he decided to work it into this episode. The fan who asked the question was in the audience and, got to hear the speech as a response to his question. So
they won't tell us what the question is because, spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah. Of course, and something that we all know is that we will not see the actual regeneration of Peter Capaldi into Jodie Whittaker until Christmas Day.
Yeah, anybody that's getting advanced things in North London or a press release or anything like that, anybody that's receiving a screener because you're a reviewer, etc.
Yeah, I've
you're
seen
not
a few
going to get that
reviewers
scene.
upload spoiler-free reviews already, and I have not clicked any of them yet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't done the special effects on that scene yet.
Oh, they probably.
not be shocked at all.
At this point, they should be done. It should be finished cooking by now, because
Good enough for government work.
it's just that Chibnall doesn't want it to be seen until he's actually officially tagged as showrunner.
And it would 100% be leaked. No matter how much they watch those press screeners, somebody would wait till the exact moment to whip out their iPhone or something.
And apparently, it's in Chibnall's style that he wants to kill the leaks. So
we'll see.
As opposed to Stephen Moffat, who is more than willing to troll and give out false information and whatnot. It's kind of refreshing. I mean, I'd rather not hear anything than go off of false you know?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's going to get kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because that means that we're going to wind up, weeks before Series 11 with absolutely no news on what anything's about.
We'll sit down at GeekCon. So this coming season, Chibnall.
Yeah. Unless, of course, it happens to be like it was when Capaldi started, that happens like right on GeekCon weekend. Where it's like, okay,
that would be nice.
Okay, well, we just basically sat in the other room and watched the episode, and now we're going to talk about it and spoil you all with it.
Spoilers! Better hurry out the door before we start talking.
Alright, so also in this article, Pearl Mackie has admitted that she's taken a key from the TARDIS. Naughty, naughty. And of course they joke that there is someone in Cardiff is trying to open a TARDIS but can't.
I mean, look at it this way. She stole a Yale lock key. That's like $5 to get a new copy made. Now, take this as opposed to Ryan Reynolds walking off the set of Deadpool with his own Deadpool costume.
Couldn't say that you wouldn't want to if you could, though.
David Bradley is really, quote-unquote, chuffed at the fact that he's got his own action figure now.
I think that's positive. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
And I read this. I've read this article when I posted it, and I thought, didn't they ever make like a Filch figurine for like the Harry Potter universe?
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Actually, let me see. That's a good question. Quick. Filch. Misspelled it. Filch.
There's not a Walder Frey action figure.
There is, and he has a Lego.
So you would think this would be old hat for him now.
Maybe he's not as happy about that role as he is about the first Doctor.
Yeah, the first Doctor's a little bit more prestigious.
It's probably entirely possible that someone just went up to him and they're like, how do you feel about your Doctor Who action figure? And he's like, oh, I'm really chuffed, yada yada. And that was the end of the conversation.
I don't think so, because he has mentioned that he is very, very, very excited to play the Doctor.
Well, it's the first time he's been allowed to smile on screen, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, because he has one of those faces that has basically got him typecast as a villain. It is literally William Hartnell all over again.
Pretty much. I think Vixie just sent his wave for goodbye, so good night, Vixie, if that's what that was for.
Good night, Vixie.
I know he has to go to bed early.
But, so, yeah, it's literally William Hartnell all over again, where you had the stern, villainous guy that was either playing the villain or the hard-ass, and he got
military
to play
types.
The grandfather, And now David Bradley's getting to experience that, so that's cool.
All right. they've asked Stephen Moffat what his favorite episode was, and he's responded the Vincent and the Doctor, and Day of the Doctor. Although he does laugh quite often at Robot of Sherwood.
Which, he's like the only one, so.
There's amusing parts. Not a lot. The humor was not that great, but
I will admit to loving Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor, though, yeah.
Vincent and the Doctor and Robot of Sherwood can go, suck a lemon.
I like Vincent and the Doctor.
Vincent and the Doctor is perfectly fine, and as long as you cut out that ending bit that tries to ruin it for you. As for Robot of Sherwood, I think the Robin Hood and the Merry Men stuff was kind of fun, but then they went to sidestep into stupid in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of ruined it, and then it slowly tried to weasel its way back.
I don't know, I almost wish that the Robin Hood would have wound up more Men in Tights than...
And this kind of sounds like a little bit of padding, but Pearl Mackie, I don't know, stated that she's pretty much still caught up in the whirlwind of Doctor Who, and that she hasn't quite appreciated the impact that's going to have on her life in the time to come yet.
It's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like Star Trek. Once you're into the universe, you're in for life.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Pearl Mackie is going to be doing conventions in like 40 years.
Eccleston is still figuring this out.
Yeah.
Because he's done like a body of work since Doctor Who, and yet what does he always get asked about?
Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who,
Yeah.
Doctor Who, and he's just like,
Shoot, people who play. I mean, think about it. Even before Big Finish started doing things like Trevor Baxter and Christopher Benjamin would randomly get Doctor Who fan mail, 30 years after their one episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're in Doctor Who, it's going to be a part of your life for the rest of your life.
I forget which ones, but I remember certain key professional actors in the business actually said that no matter what they did, before or after, the one thing they always get asked about is that one time they were on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Even if they're the monster in the rubber suit, that's the one thing they get remembered for.
Yeah. That's
They don't, and they're fine with it.
Yeah, it's because it's Doctor Who. I mean, it is literally the British version of being a part of Star Trek, even in a cameo or a guest star.
Mm-hmm.
What does Kelsey Grammer get asked about? The time he was on Next Generation.
I thought he kept being asked about Frasier, but...
Well, he does that too.
But
he's there to talk about Frasier, and one of the side questions has always been, Next Generation. Because he was freaking, or they'll ask him,
Does he get asked about Beast anymore? Because he's still the best Beast.
Frasier, Cheers, Next Generation, Beast. And why couldn't he shit on Deadpool's lawn?
All right, and then we've also got one final one. Stephen Moffat pretty much got the crowd to just kind of burst out into applause. I'm assuming he brought the house down, so to speak, as he made a passionate justification for why Doctor Who is the greatest TV show of all.
It has its ups and its downs.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that he was writing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his argument. I'm not going to argue with the basic statement, but I'm going to argue with his justification. That has inspired scientists, writers, directors, actors, and a whole lot more. So has Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of astronauts said that they never thought they'd be astronauts until Star Trek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then there was that Legends of Tomorrow episode where it's saying, and I mean, I'm assuming this is also for true people, not just characters in Legends of Tomorrow, about Star Wars and such doing the same.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. Flash Gordon, probably some people that are older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's always a series that is going to inspire people. And oddly enough, it seems to be mostly science fiction.
Yeah.
The original Superman movies to this day still inspire filmmakers.
Yeah, and I mean, there are films that will
any
inspire
genre of
people
film will inspire filmmakers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jurassic Park inspired filmmakers.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully Jurassic Park did not inspire geneticists.
Star Wars inspired filmmakers. Star Wars changed how film was made.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's always going to be something within its genre, but when you're sponsoring something outside the genre, when people are watching this and want to become astronauts or engineers
Yeah.
because of your show, that you're inspiring outside the group. So I don't think it's just Doctor Who that's inspiring things.
It's not just Doctor Who, but Doctor Who has been a noted thing.
Oh yes, I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that arguing that that's its sole justification is a little too much there for Stephen Moffat's head.
Anyway, moving right along.
Moving on.
Time
to
for the next
bit.
article.
Yep.
Okay, so our next bit is from Cultbox again. This is an interview that Stephen Moffat did with. I just had it in front of me, but TV Choice.
And yes, by the way, he's doing like all the interviews right now. He's milking it for as much as he can because he won't be able to much longer, except for the occasional person coming up to him and asking what he thinks of the current directorial form of Doctor Who. You know, like how they keep asking Russell T that.
Anyway.
So he was asked about whether or not the option was there to recast more classic Doctors, since he went ahead and did so with the first Doctor. He said something that I think is going to be a little controversial. He said, "I don't think there's anything special about the first Doctor in that sense, except maybe the wig helped." He says it was more of a calculated look. It's one of the more distinctive looks the Doctor's ever had. If you had somebody who could do brilliant Patrick Troughton, who was spot on, he thinks yes, people would accept that in the same sort of way. It really has to be spot on, but he bets it happens someday. So
he's not against it.
He's not against it, and he's not totally wrong either. But it would have, as he said, it has to be spot on, perfect.
And then actually, I think I read it a little differently the first time I read it. Like I don't think I think I saw the "in that sense" part, but I didn't really register it the first time I read it. So I think he was saying, there's nothing special about the first Doctor, which is the part that I was disagreed with, but that's not exactly what he said.
No, he was saying there's nothing special about the first Doctor that made it unique to being recast.
Right.
Because it's not only been recast, but it's been recast twice now.
That's true, yeah.
Hartnell to Herndl to Bradley. And no, there are people that would work as successors to the other Doctors. I've always said that Sean Pertwee, John Pertwee's son, would be able to stand in for him.
Should really do it, because he could even do it for Halloween, for crying out loud.
I think Tom would be the hardest. Well,
Tom would be extremely hard.
Troughton too, because there's multiple. I mean, if you found someone that had the look and the sound, which is nigh impossible, they probably wouldn't have the stature.
Yeah, if you could find somebody that looks like Tom Baker, then all you really have to do is get John Kolchak to do the voiceover and just have him lip sync.
And you have to be able. I mean, I guess a lot of actors are trained for the sort of physical comedy that Tom and Sylvester and such could do.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting the right people.
At this point, though, it is kind of just, I don't think you should recast an actor while that original actor's alive.
No.
Not like, I could kind of see like
I could understand Tom, and I could understand like maybe up to about Sylvester, but some of the rest of them, no, they should be able to allow them to come back.
I could see something like
regularly,
and of course, like if Susan were to appear and Carol Ann Ford gave her okay, I would be okay with them using look-alike.
Yeah, if they gave the okay.
Sound-alike. And I was like, obviously Susan's different because she could regenerate. But I'm saying if they were to use the first Doctor's version and Carol Ann Ford approved of it. That's really about it for that article. They mentioned that Reese Shearsmith was used in the docudrama, but there's really no word if he or Patrick or the second Doctor will appear in.
I really didn't think he did that good of a job. So
yeah, I agree with you there.
Nowhere near as eerie as Bradley is as the first Doctor, or as Hartnell.
Yeah, I think Patrick Troughton's a really difficult one to really nail.
Yeah, and so is Tom Baker. Unless you're John Kolchak, and that's vocal only.
Right. Yeah, he's mostly a vocal. He's not totally visual.
Fraser Hines does parts of Patrick Troughton amazing, but there's still criticisms of him, and he can only do it, obviously, vocally. He can't do any of the physical stuff to look
No.
like him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's probably several people that may look like them, but just don't sound like them.
Mm-hmm.
You need almost a combination for these people because their voices and their looks are so
Iconic.
Yeah.
All right. In another interview, this one he did with Radio Times, he talks about the challenges when Matt Smith was first cast. He mentions how there is this idea that Matt Smith was a hit from day one, but he says that may be how it seemed on the outside, but on the inside they were more fraught. People thought he was too young, too pretty. His chin is ridiculous. And I think we still hear some of that from time to time.
Well, I didn't like him when I first saw him. I'm like, oh God, he has a rubber face.
I first saw him. I'm like, he might be able to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, because I actually had the same thing when David Tennant came in, and that just turned out to be lighting and camera was just wrong on him because his face looked plasticky.
He mentions that the year before the show went out, so I guess they announced this before they actually. Well, I guess that's common now to announce it before doing any episodes. But he said the year before the show went out, Matt went through a year of being hated. He still talks about it. He used to go to bed and punch his pillow in frustration. He couldn't believe in himself or that it was going to work. And then it did. The episodes came out and he became a hit.
It did and it didn't.
As a doctor, he was not bad.
Yeah.
Some of the scripts Moffat forced him into, however.
His introduction, so Series 5, looking at the Doctor, I think that was a pretty popular Doctor at that time.
It really depended to me, because the 11th hour, I agreed.
Yeah, 11th hour, amazing. Knocked it out of the park.
I was leery going into the 11th hour, because I didn't like how he looked at the end of Time. But then he completely sold me in the 11th hour. Completely sold me.
Fish sticks and custard.
All of it sold me. But then as the series began to progress...
And we started to see through the seams of the plots, it's just like, oh...
Things began pissing me off, and it's mostly to do with Moffat's writing and the restrictions that Moffat wound up putting on Matt Smith's character. Never allowing the character to evolve or grow or show more facets to his personality.
Yeah, and Matt Smith wasn't a experienced enough actor to try and force his hand a little bit with Moffat.
No, the moments that he was let, he shone. I mean, as much as people hate Nightmare and Silver because of those damn kids, the scenes
that's why I ignore those damn kids, because the rest of it's just so good.
The scenes with him as, Mr. Clever.
Mr. Clever, yeah.
You got to see the fact that he has acting chops.
Well, I think what Matt was saying was that he didn't have or didn't try to exert any muscle behind the scenes.
More often.
Changing the way the character
whereas Capaldi obviously has.
Yeah, the thing is, he didn't have... I mean, apparently dealing with Moffat is dealing with a force of ego.
True.
And the fact that he didn't have anything that would counter it, whereas,
Capaldi is freaking Capaldi.
Moffat could try it on Capaldi. Capaldi could slam his Oscar down on the table and tell Moffat to get stuffed.
Pretty much.
I could just imagine it, like at the BBC Christmas party. They're just walking around and he'd be like, "So, Steven, have you gotten any Oscars this year? Have you caught up? No? Oh, okay.
Good luck next year, bitch."
Oh, no, you're going to tell me how to write that, how to play that scene out? I'm sorry, but me and my Academy Award for writing says you're wrong. Yeah.
Peter,
read it and weep.
Do you need to bring that to every script reading session? Yes, I do. Now change this line, please.
Not a professional handle this. Stop at.
I could just see the first time with Capaldi, Moffat trying to get a blustery way, and Capaldi looking at him like, "Aren't you adorable?"
All right, so now we move on to books.
Yes. And with really interesting timing, it would have been more interesting if this had been about a month ago.
Yeah.
But still interesting considering what our theme this season for this is.
Mm-hmm.
There is a new biography coming out of Roger Delgado. It is entitled Roger Delgado, I am usually referred to as the Master. It is written by Marcus K. Harmes, I think. And let's see, this was written on the 8th. This might already be out now, because they said it was supposed to go out on sale this week, last week, and usually that means Monday or Tuesday. A description of the book reads, Roger Delgado is instantly recognizable as the Master in Doctor Who, but his most famous role was also one of his last. He died aged only 55, but his career is long and productive, including roles in much-loved television programs such as The Saint, The Avengers, Quatermass 2, and films including The Hammer Horrors. His brilliant versatility made him an indispensable character actor who was able to switch accent and nationality. This biography brings to light Delgado's life from his childhood and early work in banking, his repertory theater, early television film roles, and finally his fame as the Doctor's nemesis, when colleagues found a master criminal was played by the kindest man they ever met. It also shows a private life more complex than previously thought. This biography commemorates the centenary of Delgado's birth in 1918 and looks beyond commonly told anecdotes to tell the story of Delgado's life and career based on painstaking archival research. It features never-before-seen photographs from the collection of Roger's widow, Kismet Delgado, and all-new interviews with some of Delgado's most famous co-stars, as well as rarely interviewed co-stars and directors. This is coming out from Phantom Publishing.
I have a date.
You mentioned switching accents, and my mind immediately went to what if he played Kilgrave?
I have a date. It's on Amazon. You can apparently currently pre-order it, although I don't see a price yet. I haven't clicked on it, and it's available on the 5th of February.
It is going to be available in England for £20, $19.99 per.
So probably closer to 30 US.
35, I think.
30, 35, yeah.
Because you got to remember, it's not only the dollar to pound conversion, but the cost to ship it.
Yeah, it also depends on if it gets an official release here.
Also depends upon whether or not it's also digital, though, too. That could also affect it. But they look to be doing a hard copy first.
Yep. So, if you're interested in Delgado, because the man was a talent, and an amazing person, this would be a biography to read. So, in case you're interested, the website, apparently it's on Amazon in the US or Phantom Publishing in the UK. Go read and decide for yourself. Okay. So that's it for books. The next thing is our
coming
big
out
finish.
in February 5, according to Amazon US.
That's what we just said.
Okay.
February 5.
Yep.
And December 16th.
With no
in
price
the UK.
listed.
Yeah, no current price listed, but we're guessing since it's £20, it's probably around 35.
Probably. Okay, so moving on to Big Finish.
Yep, we've got for the main range coming out soon is our latest story will be Static, which sounded pretty interesting by the trailer here. Deep in the heart of nowhere, near a place called Abbey Marston, there's a caravan site, the perfect place to get away from it all. A caravan is in campsite.
Yeah.
The perfect place to get away from it all. Close by, there's a stone circle they used for human sacrifice in olden times. A little farther afield, there's an old RAF research station where they did hush-hush things in the war. There's only one rule. The use of radios, cassette recorders, and portable televisions is strictly forbidden. People come here to get away from it all, you see. No one wants to hear the noise. No one wants to hear the voices and the static. No one wants to hear the ghosts.
Caravans are kind of like mini mobile homes. They're camper trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a campsite for camper trailers.
Anybody that watched Brainiac's Science Abuse back in the day will know a caravan because they were fond of blowing them up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Top Gear was fond of it,
I was about to say Top Gear.
because Richard Hammond was on both shows and didn't like caravans.
They found many uses for caravans, including dropping them and watching them explode.
The story behind how the guy wrote this, let me see here. It was written by... If I can find this
Jonathan
person's name.
Morris.
Yeah, he was basically out for a run when a really thick fog came down, and he couldn't even go anywhere. He was like stuck. He couldn't see for more than 2 yards in front of him, and everything. And it cleared a little bit enough for him to get home, and by then he had come up with this story. Like everything had kind of congealed, and he knew what he wanted to write. But
I thought that
just
was
the
called
idea of
London in the Autumn.
Well, pretty much.
I have actually seen fog like that. It's not pretty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Pretty
once or
much
twice.
his story is similar to that of John Carpenter when he came up with the fog.
or with
They were visiting Maine, by the way, at the time.
or with Stephen King's The Mist. So
I'm sure,
basically,
too.
his big fear was like what kind of weird things, which is close to the mist, the kind of weird
Yeah.
things that could come out of a
Actually,
fog or mist. Like
See, anytime I've experienced that kind of fog is, what if there's a car driving the wrong way that I don't see until they kill me?
yeah,
Or a deer.
Seriously,
then you wind up like Stephen King, writing about how someone nearly killed you with their car.
But actually, I believe the John Carpenter case, they weren't actually in Maine when they saw the fog, but they were actually visiting London, and they were at Stonehenge when they saw this fog literally creep up to Stonehenge from a distance, and they're like, ooh.
Interesting.
And then John Carpenter's just like, what do you think's in there?
Yeah, Bill, I have to say, if that's the only thing on your mind, if you're in the middle of a super thick
Well,
fog,
Every time I've had that kind of fog, I was behind the wheel and really concerned about, hitting things very quickly.
Hmm.
and every time I'm in one of those, I'm just like, fuck it. That's why my car has these illegal fog lights. Click. They ain't illegal in Canada, fucker. Yeah, I'll miss those.
Alright.
I'll miss those when I eventually get a new car. I'll have to see if I can get. I'll have to see if I can.
See if
get
you can
some
send it
black
up
market
north to Mom and get another Switch.
No, no. These come on the car. I'll have to get a black market pair down here.
All right. So Static. Also, we should probably mention the doctor involved with this. This is the sixth Doctor, starring Colin Baker, along with the companions Constance and Flip. Now, Constance isn't the older companion, is she?
No,
The scientist.
No, the one you're thinking of. That actress is dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a shame because I really liked her.
I never knew how old Constance was meant to be because she's what was she, World War One?
I don't remember. I'm not that familiar
yeah.
with Constance.
But like I know she had like an old timey sensibility that kind of obscured her actual age.
And I keep thinking of Flip as the alien companion, but I think that's a different one.
No,
I don't remember the Sixth Doctor having an alien. But
I remember there's some type of alien companion that's like for some big overarching story along with them.
Are you thinking Chris with the Eighth
Yeah.
Doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Eighth Doctor. That's
Flip
way out.
is she's at least she started off as like a teenage modern companion. In the story that we covered, she talked about how when she thought Star Wars, she thought of Jar Jar Binks, so she was that age of a character. From what I understand, like she's older and married now, but I don't know how much older. Like she left the TARDIS and came back on, but I don't know the story behind that.
Okay.
But that's kind of the backstory to the current arc that's going on. I don't know the details.
Anywho.
All right, and then next up, we've got a trilogy of stories, the first of which is going to be starring Peter Davison, along with Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, and Matthew Waterhouse. and as well as newcomer, well, familiar name anyway, Patsy Kensit, who's kind of an actress slash model type person. I looked her up before, but I didn't really recognize much other than Big Brother that she was on.
Why is a model doing
various
audio?
other things. And Zed cards.
Oh, Zed cars.
It's Zed cards. She's on there all the time. Alright, so the synopsis for this is on the planet Cicero Prime, the kingdom of Cardenas is divided, with the whole population forced to swear allegiance to either the effete Duke or the fiery, hard-edged Duchess. This is a situation with both parties having grown tired of. What use is half a kingdom when, thanks to a carefully engineered murder, you could have it all? Surely neither of them would be rash enough to summon the deadly off-world assassin, the Scorpion, to help with their problem, and surely this terrifying figure wouldn't arrive wearing a long cream coat and striped trousers. So this sounds like Doctor Who meets Yojimbo. Basically. Or a fistful of dollars. And right. I've listened to the trailer, and it's kind of fun to hear Peter Davison try to sound threatening. Like assassin-y threatening.
Yeah, it's not really in his wheelhouse.
He's too friendly. His eyebrows arc softly as opposed to jutting inward, and he blushes in the most adorable way.
The Sixth Doctor, he can do it.
The Sixth Doctor should have been,
possibly even Sylvester McCoy.
Maybe in Sylvester, but definitely
McCoy
the Sixth Doctor.
Sinister quite often.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the Fifth Doctor, I mean,
babyface Fifth Doctor, all your cute, trying to be threatening.
Peter Davidson's role, the emotional, almost human Doctor, and the veterinarian on All Creatures Great and Small. I mean, those are his two biggest roles. Mm-hmm. And it's just evil Sinister's not in his vocabulary.
I could just imagine he needs to threaten somebody, and then you see that distraught look on his face.
Don't get me wrong. I've seen.
I'd love it to see him try to pull himself off as this mercenary assassin, and the guy looks right at him and goes, "Pull the other one."
But yet, I hope he uses a killer jelly baby.
Oh, a poisoned jelly baby. Oh, jeez.
A killer jelly baby. Stand back, I'll use this killer jelly baby. Go ahead and use it then. What? Use it then. I'll never listen to orders.
Moving on.
Alright, so now for our early adventure starring Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines in The Wreck of the World by Timothy...
Oh, she is doing Big Finish. Yep.
Ha ha!
I wasn't sure her most recent, but I guess this confirms it.
Yeah. Alright. This is going to have the Doctor, Zoe, and Jamie, and it's going to take place after the TV episode The Mind Robber. This early adventure is going to be about undergoing repairs in deep space. The TARDIS is caught in a collision with a huge decaying wreck of a starship. Zoe, spacewalking, is separated from her companions in the crash, and the Doctor and Jamie wait to find the TARDIS fused to the side of the ship. Venturing inside to rescue their friend, they discovered that they are on board the World, the very first colony ship to leave Earth, lost mid-voyage under unknown circumstances. And they are not alone. A terrible suspension chamber is filled with dead, withered human bodies, and a team of gun-toting astronauts are stalking the corridors. But a far greater threat lurks deep inside. The terrifying force responsible for the scuttling of the ship is active once more, and if it can't be stopped, it won't just be the end of the world, it'll be the end of all of them.
So the return of bubble wrap. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought back that bubble wrap creature from the Fourth Doctor to be in this. It sounds perfect.
This is kind of interesting. Tim X Attack, that sounds like someone's forum name anyway.
Yeah, written by Timothy X Attack.
Yeah.
Except it's missing a T. Attack. Attack.
Mm-hmm. Attack.
Yeah. So basically, he writes about how there's no mention of color anywhere in the script and how he imagines it appearing in grainy, wonky VHS. The way he first saw stories like The Seeds of Death and The Invasion.
Yes.
So he tried to it'll sound interesting.
Wait, so we avoided including any color names in the script to make it feel black and white? Is that,
Boom, boom,
is that
boom,
what
boom,
I'm understanding?
No, Bill. You racist scum. No, he's just saying he's trying to keep it retro. In his head. How would they do it on the show?
Okay. And he's also kind of inspired by the fact that Doctor Who started feeling more like a space opera back then, around that time, than anything else.
Yep.
So
Kinda.
it pretty much made the complete move from historical fantasy type stuff to actual space opera, science fiction.
Especially when it came to
Yeah,
like
that
was-
Cybermen and
fantasy.
Daleks, they definitely could get more space opera.
That was
there.
very much the space era where they spent time away from Earth, and I don't think they visited the past very much either. Maybe a few times.
A few
So
times
it's
here
kind
and
of
there.
it's kind of the foil to John Pertwee's first
Hey.
couple of seasons.
Speaking of which,
Next.
Speaking of which, alright, so next, the story that Doctor Who fans have been asking for since 1974, the Doctor will face the Cybermen and the Third Doctor Adventures Volume 4. I guess I never realized he never faced them.
No, he never did.
No, it went from the Evasion to Revenge. It went from Second Doctor to Fourth Doctor.
Wow.
Which is interesting because Pertwee said that he preferred the Cybermen to the Daleks. And he
But
fought
he was
the
forced.
Daleks twice.
He
Three
forced
times.
fought the he fought them multiple times, and he never got a Cyberman story. Sadly.
Alright, this is going to be part of
What-
the Third Doctor Adventures, and the Cybermen are going to be making their debut in the story The Tyrants of Logic by Mark Platt.
Oh, it's a Platt.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And Mark has, of
Platt
course,
usually does
written-
very good stuff. Yes.
Platt is still writing. That's
Yeah, he's
That's
written The
surprising.
Silver Turk starring Paul McGann, and Spare Parts. He wrote Spare Parts
Oh.
with Peter Davison.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes. Do it.
yes.
Do it.
We'll
Just
have
do
to
it.
we'll have to hear how this is when it comes out.
Alright, the
I'm
cast is going
thrilled.
to include Jeff Rawl, Linda Marlowe, and Carolyn Pickles.
Yeah,
Do
we'll have
it.
to see how the Third Doctor sounds in that.
We
Alright,
don't mention who's playing the Cybermen, so I'm assuming it's Briggs playing the Revenge Cybermen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they
Oh,
might get
oh,
a certain somebody to play a leader.
That's
And
that's
this
that's
looks
why I
like
mentioned
could
it
be-
because there's been kind of hints that he's coming at some point. But
Yes, but at this
nothing
point, if they're
confirmed
I wouldn't think they'd do it for the Third Doctor Adventures.
Maybe,
gonna- if
maybe
they're gonna
not.
have
It
him
kind of
face
depends.
If they're going to have a Doctor face the Banks Cybermen, it's going to be 5, 6, or 7 starting off.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, this is going to be part of a box set that will also feature a story called The Rise of the New Humans by Guy Adams that will have the meddling monk in it.
Ooh.
But you
Played by
see that
Rufus
map,
Hound.
but they had Dan Starkey face against the first Doctor, so anything's possible.
Yes, I
Mhm.
know, but
I think I
I
just
didn't
called
say
random-
it
random
wouldn't
math.
happen. I would
Whatever.
say that they would have it face the 5, 6, and 7th Doctor first
hmm
before having it go to one of the other out-of-sequence Doctors.
Again,
and
depends,
for-
but it's more than likely.
Yeah.
More
Okay.
than likely, this is either going to be Nick Briggs doing an invasion-style voice, or a more passive Revenge voice. Considering Revenge was the worst Cyberman voice ever, I suspect it'd be an invasion voice.
Most likely.
Right.
Matter of fact, actually getting David Banks in to do a revenge voice would be, or invasion voice would actually be cool.
Did you
Nah,
want me to...
I don't think they'd waste Banks on that, Matt.
Right.
Let's see.
Did you want me to mention the free short trips that's going to be offered here?
Oh,
Landbound. Narrated by Nicholas Briggs. It was the finalist in the Paul Sprague Short Trips Memorial Opportunity 2017 and is written by Selim Ulug.
Oh yeah, we covered the announcement for that, but it's
Yeah, we covered the announcement, but
it's
we
probably
never
worth
said
mentioning that it's
anything
coming
else.
out this month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So okay,
Or
it's
is
coming
it
out
saying
free
that
this month.
I figured we'd mention it when it came out.
Oh wait, it says in the month. So is that? Oh yeah, it is saying also this month. Okay.
Yeah,
Also later this
month,
month,
so...
yeah.
Probably going to come out around Christmas time.
Probably.
Okay.
The perfect Christmas gift of free audio.
Anyway, that does it for our news section.
Our main news, yep.
That does it.
So then we're going to go from news to our section we call the rumor mill. And this is a rumor that was drifting around social media for pretty much shortly after our podcast last week until the beginning of this. And that is that the rumor was circulating that BBC America was planning on showing Doctor Who not on Christmas, but the week before Christmas. First of all, this is false. And second of all, you all should have known that.
Yeah. That was obvious.
What happened was that BBC America posted their schedule for the Saturday before Christmas. And what they had there is they posted Doctor Who Christmas special, meaning that they were going to put in one of the classic Christmas specials, but they didn't know which one yet. And somebody saw this and went, "Oh my God, they're showing the Christmas special early!" And of course, immediately posted it all over Twitter and all over everything, and it took off like wildfire. Guys, seriously, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Doctor Who is a BBC production. I don't think anybody will get it prior to the BBC. Just feel good that you're getting it at the same time, because I remember when we had to wait 6 months for this kind of shit. Hell, I remember when we had to wait 2 years for this kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, BBC America isn't going to get it shown first.
I've arrived.
Hello.
Okay,
Timothy!
Yay!
All right, the very end of news.
You're in the rumor mill now. I'm just chastising people to think that BBC America was going to get Doctor Who early. But no, that rumor is false. It has been quashed. BBC America actually had to come out and say it was false. In which I have to go, seriously, guys! Use your common sense.
Where were your thinkers at?
Of course, if America had common sense, we wouldn't have Donald Trump. All right.
But we don't have Roy Moore, thankfully.
Yay!
So that might mean that some people are actually starting to use their little gray cells now, but apply it to other things too. All right, so that'll double as my rant. So we're on to a new section we're referring to as the Review of Shame.
Shame.
And this one's aimed solely at Bill, who, of course, was away last week when we were reviewing Time Flight, when he was asking us for crullers. When we show one, he finally doesn't show for it.
Wait, a cruller is a very good type of donut.
Yeah, but when talking about a script or a movie, it's usually a bad thing. And Time Flight didn't come out good with the rest of us.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I mean, you already knew I had a slightly different view, and I rewatched it today. And there's definitely some areas, especially particularly the Master's his costume and the fact that he even put on the costume seemingly for funsies.
Pretty much.
But in general, I found, it to be a fairly good direction for the episode, a good premise. A very interesting thing to do with Tegan, even if Arc of Infinity is kind of follows up on it really awkwardly. But I would say I'm giving this episode a 3.5. Not good enough at all for a 4, but in the upper 3 to lower 3.5 area.
Shame.
So I'm sure that destroys the average you have, but
shame.
Let's see, 3.5 is going to kick that up from the 3.2 it was.
Was it? I thought all the
excuse me,
I thought all
2.2.
the scores. Okay, 2.2 sounds right.
Yeah, it kicks it up to a 2.5 average.
About to say 2.5, yeah.
So it was 214. It's going to go up to about 207.
Still very much in the basement.
I have to guess
Ah.
at this point because I've already added the King's Demons to the list, and it being rankless is going to cause issues if I try to shuffle it now.
Right.
Gotta hold on to that.
So yeah, it's going to go up for about that because there's only one 2.5 at the moment, and that's the Sontaran experiment. So I think it would clock in just below that. Either way, it goes to show that Bill functionally still has no taste.
Ouch.
Wow.
Well, he's been lowballing us this entire season.
And now he
And we
suddenly
finally-
highballs us.
Yes. When we're all going, yeah, this is good, this is bad, he's like, it stinks.
And then we all go, it stinks. And he's like, I liked it slightly.
I thought Tim had no taste because he's giving everything 4s and 5s. But he's been showing common sense in the last couple of weeks, and Bill's now
this was
completely
no
off
time
the rails. Can't we all be sane for one episode?
Let's
No.
find out.
We still all think Journey to the Center of the TARDIS is garbage, right?
Yes.
Yep. And I think we
Okay.
all gave Castrovalva a 5.
I'm willing to
Not
redo my
Castrovalva.
vote on
Whoa.
that.
Caves of Androzani is what I was trying to say.
Don't make
but my
me go
mouth
in the
went
bedroom
wrong.
and kill you, honey.
What did Erin say? I was talking over her.
She started to say, I said Journey to the Center of the TARDIS is garbage, right? And she's like, I may have to rethink my vote on that. And I'm like, don't make me kill you. Don't make
I'm gonna
me
have to rewatch that.
With a fuel rod.
Fire.
And any killing about that episode needs to involve a fuel rod.
Yes. Excuse me, let me go to Chernobyl, get a fuel rod, and impale you with it. Wow. Nuclear-powered Vlad Sepish. I think I've got a new story.
They're
Stupid
slowly
Who's
dying
doing the
while
5-minute
impaled, and you
Stupid-
can hear
stupid
the
monk.
radiation clicks in the background.
All right, so we heard Bill's review of Time Flight, and we'll have to hurt him for it later. Yeah, seriously, that was the most tightest episode we've had in ever, with nothing between a 2 and a 2.5 between the staff and Bill. I give it a 3.5. God damn it,
But
Bill!
at least you were expecting it. Like I already said, like I don't hate it as much as most people do.
You thought it was better than Keeper of Traken. You have
Yes.
no taste.
No taste.
I mean, it was no time lash.
Shut up, Tim! Shut up, Bojack! Shut up, Gregory! Okay.
Oh my. Shut up, the guy!
Okay. So now we'll move on to our 5-minute challenge. I was thinking about doing it, but now the complete plot of the episode has been driven from my head.
In bitter rage.
I'm going to sit here and stew while somebody sums this up in 2.5 minutes or less.
I believe Tim did it last week. Did I do it the week before?
I think so.
So
Come
technically
on,
it
Bill,
should be
you
yours,
just watched
Bill's,
it.
or Aaron's turn.
No.
I mean, I watched another episode after it, so I don't know if you want me to.
Go ahead. You can't be any worse than Tim or Aaron.
No,
Hey.
Wow.
You know, I'm kind of
All the
I'm-
shade.
Okay.
I'm totally not, posting and trying to promote us on Gaia Online, am I?
Oh, of course. She's already distracted by an MMO, and the last time we had Aaron do something, she went completely off the rails on it. Tim tends to deliberately go off the rails when he does it, but not as quite to the extent that Aaron does.
All right. I guess give me a countdown.
All right. There. And 3, 2, 1, go.
The Doctor, Tegan, and Turlo arrive on Earth in the 1200s and don't seem to know why. They show up, and the king does not seem angry to see them, even though he calls them demons. The Doctor is immediately suspicious and says that he believes the king is someone in disguise. He kind of wonders if any of his enemies like to wear disguises. Turlo goes off and has an adventure that doesn't really amount to anything. And then
he goes off and gets captured.
pretty much
Twice.
And then
3 times.
the master reveals himself as not being the king. So the doctor's like, well, I was half right. And then the master reveals his plan to the doctor because that's the thing that you do. And it involves a shape-shifting robot named Kamelion. So the doctor steals the MacGuffin from the master and keeps it, and then he steals the shape-shifting alien who becomes a new companion. And that's pretty much about all that happens.
Yeah, pretty much.
1 minute and 7 seconds.
Not bad, Bill. I mean, it was at least followable. Unlike a few times Tim has done it where I had to turn my ears off. And the times that Aaron's done it where I actually got physically angry.
This Randy Smash! By the way, we are now promoted on Gaia Online. Yay!
You know, you say Randy Smash and my brain kind of didn't go Hulk, it went Grundy.
Oh my Grundy, what pants too?
Yeah, because my name could actually sound like Grundy without a G.
Randy Smash!
Solomon Randy.
Thank you, I now have a new pen name.
Solomon
Okay.
Grundy want pants too.
Speaking of the topic of pen names, Bill. Yeah, alright. So, what we liked about the episode, and he's not here, and he didn't give us notes of what he liked. So
Yeah, I think he said the episode was too short to actually give those things.
Yeah, so I'm striking through that. So, Bill, you're first.
All right, what did I like about the episode? I guess the supporting cast was acted pretty well. I mean, there may be like mainly the king, and the guy that the king was like holding hostage. Mainly those two. I think the others there was some wonkiness, but I think those two pulled their weight fairly well.
Okay.
I forget his name, but he was like the guy whose castle they were in.
Yeah.
Ned Stark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tim, how about you?
My favorite thing was Turlo. Because he seemed to actually be trying to instigate conflict in this story and make it interesting.
When there wasn't any conflict or interest in the script.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like
what
the whole,
Turlo's
like-
main thing was, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why I'm here. You're lying.
All right.
Yeah,
God
but at least
damn
that's
it, people, I don't know!
compared to what else was going on.
Yeah.
So,
Turlo went into why is everybody picking on me mode.
Oh, what's the point that he nearly snapped at the end?
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, you're next. Episode. Good aspects.
thing I liked about the episode. I like their castle sets. Their castle sets were nice, both outside and inside.
Didn't you mention something about the sets, Aaron?
Yes, there is a rumor, although it's not been proven, that these were the same sets used for Black Adder, particularly the Iron Maiden and Edmund's room.
So some of the props in particular.
Looks very similar, especially the props and a lot of that stuff. So
Props
I
in a
think
couple of the rooms were similar. Okay.
it's not been
that's-
never proven.
It's not
but
been proven,
a lot
but
of
it's
people
not
think-
against BBC trying to save coin either.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Okay. So, Aaron, how about you? What did you like about the episode? You can pass
So-
if you've got nothing.
I actually did kind of like this episode a little bit. I mean, I think I liked the fact that it wasn't over the top and short.
That it wasn't drawn out.
Yeah, it wasn't long
no
and
fluff
drawn
and
out.
not stupid.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
and
completely
it was
stupid.
it was a very simple, small plot. In fact, the plot was so small that people. Another rumor is that this was originally a story written for the meddling monk. Only the actor had died back in 1979. and this was done in 1982, 1983 or something.
That shouldn't have mattered. The meddling monk was a Time Lord. They could recast him without issue.
They could have recast
Which is what
him,
Big Finish eventually did.
So there was rumors that because the plot wasn't, world destruction or world domination as much as what the Master usually does is our universal domination. It wasn't grandiose enough. It was a smaller plot that fit the meddling monk a lot better. So.
Yeah, it actually does.
The plot was step 1, stop the Magna Carta from happening. Step 2, ? Step 3, universal domination.
Like mayhem.
Really,
more like mayhem than anything.
Chaos and destruction!
Actually, if it had been a meddling monk scheme, it would have been step 1, use robot to impersonate king. Step 2, stop Magna Carta. Step 3, ? Step 4, profit. That would have been right down the line, and that would have been a perfect plan. Instead, in profit, they scrawled it out and put in universal domination and made it the Master.
Well, actually, even the Master admitted it's not so much domination so much as his starting up chaos.
Well, no, he said it would lead to him somehow taking over the universe or the galaxy or something.
I think,
and even the
I think you're
doctor called him out. He's
paraphrasing
like,
a very small section of a longer line.
the doctor was like, that doesn't make sense. And the Master's like, well, wherever it doesn't work, I'll just kill everyone. And he's like, how? And then the scene changed.
How? Yes. I'm sorry. This is
pretty much how the conversation
went.
This
has become a Zim plan.
Doom,
this doesn't make sense. It's totally stupid. Stupid or smart? No, it's stupid.
That's like the conversations he used to have with the first Master.
It is.
You do realize this is extremely dumb and you've tried doing this before, right? Shit, you seen through my schemes again, Doctor.
Okay, so the good parts about the episode. Don't really have anything. I'm sorry. It's kind of a waste of space for me. Okay. So, bad episodes. Is there anybody here that's not going to say what I think everybody here wants to say?
I'm going to say episodes 3 and 4 because it feels like someone forgot them in the script room.
I'm going to say obvious Delgado is obvious. Or not obvious Master is obvious.
Well, he is
even
kind
in
of
disguise.
the camp master. Yeah, the second he opened his voice, I'm like, that's Ainley.
Yeah, Ainley was like, even in his French Master Knight get-up thing, is just like, no, I could already see. It's wonderful that you think you're in a disguise. That's nice, dear. No. How about you just go back into your tent and take a nap?
How about you, Tim? Do you have anything that's not the obvious elephant in the room? I'll take that as a no.
No.
How about you, Aaron? Anything that's not the elephant in the room?
The stuff that we hate in general?
The bad aspects of the episode.
Yeah, bad thing in
hang on,
general.
I can find something. I
think that's not the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
I didn't really care for Tegan.
She was really mopey and did nothing.
Yeah, she didn't really have anything to do. Like, she just...
Yeah.
Mind you, this is also Tegan near the end of her rope. This literally, I mean, she has the 5 doctors, and then Resurrection of the Daleks.
All right, I'm going to say that the acting for some of the characters was a little bit stiff, especially with the Lord who was hosting the King, especially at the beginning, around the beginning or middle of episode 1, where he's being confronted by some people, and his delivery is a bit stilted, and he takes slightly too long pauses in between sentences.
I did not notice that.
It's like he's waiting for someone to read him his line or something, or he's waiting to remember.
I
And he's
don't
waiting to
recall that,
react.
but I do recall him feeling like they badly wrote him, especially the later episodes.
Yeah.
All right. So with this
Later
said,
episode.
let's go to the
The elephant.
albatross. The giant animatronic albatross
Albatross!
that is this episode. That is in this episode.
She
Let's
married
talk
an
about
albatross.
Kamelion. Is this not the biggest mistake the BBC made in the early 80s?
I don't know enough to make that call.
Is it the biggest mistake?
No,
it could have been interesting if it wasn't the fact that it was a little bit makeshifty, and the fact that the major fault in it is that the one person that knew how to run it died soon after this episode.
No, because it wasn't even good in this episode.
Like I said, it's a little bit makeshifty. They did not
It
throw
was.
enough into it.
So-
It was. You know where they got the parts from? A garbage. The garbage.
They literally pulled this thing out of the garbage to make it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's apparently this was done for somebody's college, like Imagineering project. It was Imagineering final.
This was somebody's attempt at animatronics in a college course?
Essentially, yes. It was
Oh,
either
God,
that
BBC,
or, it was
why?
either that or it was for a cheapo, a cheapo sci-fi film.
Yeah.
It was one or
It
the
still
other.
could have
Nobody's
been a
quite
college
certain.
film though too. So it's still
Yeah.
why?
They dug it out of the landfill. Mike Powers and the guy who was working with them were responsible for Mike Powers especially was responsible for retooling it and getting it to work.
And then they decided to sell it to the BBC. And the only one, I mean, Powers pretty much reprogrammed it from scratch to respond to its commands. Apparently, they did enough that it was a good demo in front of John Nathan Turner and the rest of the staff because they bought it. And then when trying to use it, the thing broke down constantly and wouldn't do what they said. It couldn't walk. It, barely could lip sync. And it was uncertain whether it would be coming out normal speed, coming out like this, or coming out like this. It was basically a...
Wait, so it's also a
giant-
Teddy Ruxpin?
That's what I was about to say. It's basically a giant Teddy Ruxpin.
God, you would work well.
Yeah.
Teddy Ruxpin is less dead-eyed than this thing. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And
Well, mind
have you seen
this
the new
is...
Teddy Ruxpin? Those are scary.
But the thing is, you got to remember that this was 1983. Teddy Ruxpin didn't come out until about 85, 86.
Still
So
only
this
2
is
years
about
away.
3 years before they could even do that Teddy Ruxpin. So
It was 2 to 3 years away. That's not that far. It was just a matter of time. And this is the best TV could offer.
this is the best. This is the best that John Nathan Turner could find, because basically John Nathan Turner was looking for a new K9, and
Should just go back to
Basi-
K9.
yeah, well, by the end of
wasn't
this,
it John Nathan Turner who didn't want K9?
Probably.
no,
I
it was-
thought it was Eric Soward or something.
Actually, a lot of people
hated
didn't
it.
want
That-
K9, in particular
'cause
Tom,
I
because Tom
thought
hated
he thought
working
he was
opposite
part of
K9.
Too
it was
juvenile part.
Bidmead that didn't want K9.
Oh, that's who it was.
Anyway, and by this point, Bidmead was gone, and Nathan Turner knew that K9 was at least popular. But at that point, Leeson had taken the ball. Not Leeson, excuse me. Bob Baker and his partner had taken the ball and walked off.
Which is
So-
funny because was this this episode would have had to been after K9 and Friends
Yes, it was after
because
that.
they reference it in the following episode.
They did get K9 to make a cameo with 5 doctors, but that was a very special, they had to negotiate for
Very
that.
special and very small cameo, yeah.
But it was, they wanted to try to make something new that the BBC would own the rights to. So they tried to do Kamelion, and it failed. By the end of making this episode, they're trying to shove it in the back of the TARDIS, and was already planning on making the episode to write him out, because everybody agreed it was shit. It was basically a bad purchase.
It was a good purchase when you first saw it, but then when they actually got on set, it just started falling apart.
Literally.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, because they would say they'd come up to do a scene, and there'd be a leg over there and an arm over there, and it was a nightmare. And it shows that it's a nightmare, because it doesn't look great even on the scenes that it's in. It looks, it manages to hit Uncanny Valley.
It hits Uncanny Valley to awkward, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. It just hitches. This isn't right.
This is going to last about 5 minutes.
All right. So, what was your favorite scene? And Bill, you're first.
My favorite scene. That's a tough one. I have almost a thought there. So I'm trying to visualize the scene, and it's not visualizing. But I guess I'll go with the scene where the whole thing where he's like, "Yo, I just talked to you 5 minutes ago," and he's like, "Are you calling me a liar?" He's like, "What? What is even happening?" And you're gonna be killed.
When the
for
cousin
that.
shows up and says that he met the king 4 hours ago in London.
Yes, that one.
Wait, is this the one where where Giles, or the Master in the disguise of Giles, throws the glove against the Doctor's chest?
No.
Challenge to duel.
This is before that. This is the cousin.
Okay.
The cousin of the Lord of the Castle shows up.
Mm-hmm.
He just got back from being offered night shift to help join the Crusades, and traveled 4 hours from London to get back to the castle, only to find that the king's already there. And they're essentially calling him out for being a liar right to his face, and about ready to throw him in the Iron Maiden. The later in the scene where the Doctor intervenes is when the glove throwing happens.
All right. Kim, how about you? Best scene?
I love the scene where King John rocks out on the lute.
Damn it, Tim.
Going to war.
Yeah, we come in praise of total war. Yeah. The thing is, that song has stuck in my head since I first saw this serial back in the 80s.
It's probably one of the better things that come out of this episode, to be honest.
And I don't know if that's a traditional song or one that they.
It sounds like it should be.
Yeah. It needs to be covered by Sabbath.
I think Tim, you just said something that we all agree with.
Yay!
Yes, I want to see Death Clock do a cover of this.
Total war.
I mean, come on. Imagine that coming out of the voice of Nathan Explosion. Come on. All right. Yeah, I agree with Tim, and that was mine too. God damn it. Matt, best scene.
The best scene. Trying to think. I know I got a couple good scenes. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I've been holding back on this one. This is a favorite scene. The Master and the Doctor have a sword fight again. Yay! I'm just happy that they had a sword fight. And once again, the Doctor proves he's a better sword fighter.
Yeah, but this one was a lot more awkward compared to the sword fighting that
it was a little more awkward, but also they both were using freaking long swords. Of course it's going to be awkward.
Yeah, but you could also kind of tell that neither one was any really trained at sword fighting.
A bit.
I mean, I'm sorry, just the fact that you put a sword in Peter Davidson's hands.
Which is funny, they couldn't find a stunt actor that looks like, default, white blonde man.
From a distance. And it's not like the Master wasn't in a wig.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's freaking Peter Davidson looked super awkward with that sword.
I don't care. I still had fun. It was a nice sword scene. It was something to break up the monotony.
All right. Aaron, how about you? Best scene?
Best scene?
Mhm.
I'm kind of torn by a few of them, actually. Hmm. Well, I mentioned one of them already, so I'm going to go ahead and pick out a different one. And Billy, you haven't gone yet, have you?
Yes,
Bill's
he
already
is.
gone.
Yes, you have. Has anyone mentioned the whole edutainment scene where the doctor goes through like the actual timeline that they're in?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that then.
Okay.
He mentions the year. Yeah, he mentions the year. He mentions that the Magna Carta it's around the same time that the Magna Carta is supposed to be signed, and then the year afterwards, he puts it in context too that you can relate to. Oh, next year he's going to lose. He said lose the crown jewels or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember King John doing, but
oh yes,
I don't know
it's a
much.
very big deal. So he mentions the fact that at this time King John should be getting sworn in as a crusader in London. And Tegan recognizes the name John as, isn't it the one that lost it in the wash? And yeah, that's actually a big deal. Is the fact that he was in transit with, I think it was the crown jewels, and they were attacked by bandits, and during the fight, the crown jewels got knocked off the carriage into the wash. So
Dang.
the original British crown jewels were lost by King John's obsessive need to keep them with him as he traveled. I remember reading about that like a few months ago. It was kind of a big deal. I think it was I don't remember if it was bandits or the French, because the French were also acting up around this time. It's kind of one of the reasons John had to keep raising taxes, because he had to keep funding Richard's campaign, and he had to keep defending England from the French. So, yeah. He's not quite as much of a villain as he's been made out to in fiction, thanks to Robin Hood, but he's not very popular because he had to tax people to pay for shit.
That's truly a timeless tale.
Okay. So, anyway, mine was I Was With Tim. I liked the song because it just stuck in my head forever. It's the only thing I remembered about this particular serial until I watched it again.
I'm trying to look up more details about that song, by the way, other than the fact then that it was Kamelion and Kamelion sung that.
So, least favorite scene, and Bill, you are first.
I'm going to go with the ending because I don't like it. Didn't even seem to make sense. He kept telling Tegan, like, this is what you want. And she's like, what? No, I never said that. Like, where are you even getting this from? And it's just, I'm sitting there like, I don't know either, because I feel like I've watched the episodes leading up to this, and I have no idea what he's talking about either.
No, yeah.
Well, it's Tegan. She usually makes a fuss about going back home. At least she used to.
The previous season she did, but this season she didn't. Like, this season she was in it for the adventure.
And he knows that she doesn't work at the airport anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows she's not looking for Heathrow anymore. They got there, and then she decided to come with him again.
Yeah, but that's part of it is she's still reeling from the loss of Nyssa.
That
and
too.
she doesn't like Turlo very much.
Well, I can't blame her for that.
Well, she doesn't trust him is, I think, the bigger point, because I think they realized he was actually with the Black Guardian for a while.
But yeah, she doesn't trust him. She's not that fond of him either because he's kind of a whiny brat. and it's she's just, after losing Nissa, she's just kind of, she's not having fun anymore, and it kind of comes to a head in Resurrection, which is, I believe, 2 serials down the road. Trying to look that up right now. What?
Just trying to look for more notes on the song, and I found a note on the sword fight, actually. And it's obvious stuff, though. The sword fight was arranged by John Waller, and both actors played their characters throughout the entire scene, all stunts done by themselves.
Okay, so this is the King's Demons. This is followed by the 5 Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Warriors of the Deep, The Awakening, Frontos, and Resurrection. So basically, Tegan starts getting more and more fed up until they get back to modern day England, and she's just like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, whose were we on? I think it was Tim Orsine.
Mm-hmm.
Ursine is the staring contest between the Doctor and the Master for control of Kamelion. Because it was just a staring contest. It's fun to take part in, not very fun to watch.
It was one of those telepathic Time Lord will battles, not too much dissimilar to the Mindbenders game played by the 4th Doctor and what's his face? Mobius.
Yeah, but that was more interesting, I think.
Because it had more apparatus.
They had more apparatus and more visuals with it.
And this would be another thing that would also be revisited in the 5 Doctors, as the Doctors have to team up and mentally overpower Rassilon. Or, excuse me, Barusa with the Coronet of Rassilon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, this particular season, they were very fond of repeating themselves, apparently.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to. Was this the one where it was all return villains, or was that
this was the season that was return villains for the anniversary build-up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Arc was Omega, Snake
So it's
Dance
pretty
was
much-
the Mara.
Yeah, so it's pretty much an entire season of continuity porn.
Not entirely, because Arc was Omega, Snake was the Mara, but then you've got the Black. Well, technically, the Black Guardian was the reoccurring villain in Modern Undead Terminus and Enlightenment.
Yeah.
And then the King's Demons was the Master. The 5 Doctors was everything. Warriors of the Deep, which was the next season, continued that trend with the Sea Devils.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had new villains in the Awakening and Frontos, and then the Daleks and Resurrection of the Daleks. Planet of Fire had the Master again, and then a new one in Case of Androzani, and a new one in The Twin Dilemma. So, depending on which one you considered the anniversary season, either way, they had some reoccurring villains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was basically from starting with Arc of Infinity and ending with the 5 Doctors was intended to be the anniversary.
I have to pause and break for this moment because, oh my god, the look on the Pierre Davidson's face is just like, you can't be serious sharing this in chat. Just look, he's looking to the camera like, you can't be serious, I'm acting against this.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really impressive. Anyway, so who are we up to for our least favorite scene?
We're just at Tim, and
so it's you.
So it's me. Least favorite scene? How about this? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the scene where they first talk to the Master, and the Master easily heel turns the Lord, the Lady, and everyone else against the Doctor, even though the entire time the Doctor's been inside talking to them, going, I'm with you guys, we're making a plan, I'm with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought like maybe he hypnotized them in a way that it like wasn't obvious on screen,
But that's not the master's way. He obviously hypnotizes people. He talks
Like, I
slowly
feel
and
like,
stares intently.
I think the Sea Devils, didn't he like wasn't it kind of the same way where just like everyone obeyed him but you didn't actually see him hypnotize everybody?
No, they did close-ups, and he was he was doing the obvious hypnotizing voice. He was obviously focusing on it.
That's
It
just
was
Roger
always
Delgado's
one-on-one.
voice.
He
If Roger
never
Delgado's
actually
speaking, he's hypnotizing.
he's never been able to do group as far as I'm aware. So how he suddenly did that, I don't know. Especially since the Ainley Master is not that strong, and admits it later. Matter of fact, in the Sixth Doctor era, he needs help to hypnotize people.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an unstable plot casting.
It's just a really awkward scene that doesn't work well, and it jumps like 10 pages of what should have been actual plot and actual mistrusts given.
Yeah, I think there was something there that got cut.
Quite possibly. It just made everything stilted and awkward.
All right, Aaron, how about you? Least favorite scene?
Let's see here. I've got a few of those too.
um,
Phone, work with me here, phone. Goddamn. Yeah, I'm looking.
yeah, this was not getting me anywhere. Let's
I
look
think
elsewhere.
I'm gonna go ahead with the jailers scenes. That man must be so confused. He's got someone who says that the doctor is evil and wants him to release all of his prisoners, and he does. Then the doctor comes in and insists that he's good and wants him to release the rest of the prisoners. So then the jailer has no prisoners, and the jailer's just like, what the hell? What did I just do? And we don't ever see the master hypnotize the jailer either. He just kind of talks to him.
Nope, we just went over that.
That prison is literally a revolving door.
It is literally a revolving door, yes. The revolving door prison.
Yeah, we just bitched about the master not really doing hypnosis in this.
Mm-hmm.
We figure it has to have been cut.
It was either cut or they were just being really sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
It happened in a flashback in episode 3.
Anyway, so I think mine is the ending where the Kamelion is like, I can be very useful and versatile as a companion. No, shut up, robot, and get in the closet. Seriously,
No, go ahead.
I seriously hate that thing. I can't get over how much I hate that stupid thing.
Anything else on that, or
just give me frickin' canine, you know?
Yeah.
I'll take the tin dog.
I'll take the boxy tin dog over the, hi, I'm a really awkward human-looking thing that makes really stilted slight movements. How are you?
Yeah, you mentioning that, does anything really happen to explain Kamelion's face turn, or did the doctor just decide that you're going to be a companion now?
Essentially, he broke the connection with the master, I think.
Yes.
I wasn't aware there was a connection other than literally just having a conversation.
No, Master was controlling him through his will.
Yes.
So another one of those.
The Kamelion has his own bit of will, but he is very easily manipulated by his people with psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, the doctor side of him won over.
Mm-hmm. That was the whole staring contest with the doctor
and the doctor officially won when he turned him into Tegan.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. It was just one of those, okay, so this is how we're writing it out of here really quickly. And leaving it open so the master can take it over and destroy it later on.
Mm-hmm.
And is this the last time Kamelion appears before the next
There
one we're
was
talking about,
a scene filmed for The Awakening. But it was cut prior to being aired. I believe, and actually, they I think they restored it because they found it on the cutting room floor, and I think it's on the DVD somewhere, either as an Easter egg or in the bonus features. And it was basically supposed to bridge King's Demons and Planet of Fire, but because it was basically him revealing on how he's weak to mental domination and thus has to remain in the TARDIS to keep from being taken over. But like I said, they cut it and they just went straight from King's Demons to Planet of Fire with Kamelion. So that's what.
Here we go. I finally found some information on the song. It's called The King's Song. It was a song sung by the Kamelion as King John. And it was sang in the presence of some of the main characters. The song's lyrics were by King's Demons writer Terence Dudley.
So it was made for the episode.
It was literally made for the episode. The music by Peter Howell.
Yeah.
Performed by Gerald Flood. Vocals.
Yeah, that's the guy that was doing the.
That was playing King John. Melody of the song is incorporated into the broader score as okay. Though this is a common enough, the Marigold era, it was almost unique for the show's original run.
Yep.
Yeah, in the Marigold era, every once in a while they have people do their original music, but this was relatively a new thing for classic Coup, which is why it stands out.
I also noticed that the soundtrack got a little overpowering a couple of times.
Yeah, it did get very synthesized and a little over top in key points here and there.
They were still trying to hash out the proper balance.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's our review of it. Now we're moving on to our final thoughts. But before any of us can go, Thomas did leave his final thoughts.
Which can't be very positive. Since
his
he left the elves.
The one big thing the story has in favor of it that prevents it from being more boring than Time Flight is it's only a 2-parter rather than a 4-parter. If it was any longer than 2 episodes, you'd have a worse opinion of it, as opposed to what Bill keeps saying. So, speaking of Bill, your final thoughts.
Okay. It feels like half a story. I'm pretty much left with wondering, like, what the hell's the point? And it seems the point is to introduce Kamelion, but that clearly wasn't a good idea. So
Well, it became a bad idea during production, obviously.
Yeah, so it's like during production they should have said, "Fuck this episode. It's only a 2-parter anyway."
Thing is, by that point, that had been budgeted and paid for.
Mm-hmm. So they still had to go through with it.
And they didn't have a right. Yeah, but they didn't have a nice technician strike to blame on not producing it.
They need to show where the money went to.
But yeah, that's my general feeling after watching this episode of what was the point of that 40 some odd minutes that I spent watching it.
Do you want your 40 minutes back?
Kind of.
Well, you can't have them.
Longer than that because I rewatched the second episode trying to figure out what I missed, and I didn't actually miss anything. It didn't resolve.
It just resolved itself, apparently, in its own head.
Resolved by kidnapping.
Yeah, for a long time it was just kind of people running around in a bit of confusion and stuff. It's just like, oh, this person's going over there, and that person's going over there, and that person's trying to ride away on a horse. Oops, he got shot.
Honey, wait your turn.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. But yeah,
Tim.
my turn's done.
Yeah, your turn is done, but it's Tim's turn.
Okay.
Tim, you have the little shaky rattle thing, so you go. What's your final thoughts?
I thought this episode had so much that could have done better. Kamelion, for instance, the political intrigue behind keeping King John out of disgracing King John, and the visual representation of the fight over between the Doctor and the Master, for instance. Just little things that kept distracting me from, oh, they could have done this and this and this and this, that really kept me from being engaged fully in the episode. So I think this episode was not one big missed opportunity, but a series of smaller missed opportunities.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's about it.
Okay, Matt.
I feel like I think the biggest problem is that they didn't really test what they were getting themselves into, and they literally shot themselves in the foot on making this one. They rushed to production too soon with a prop that was going to become a companion, which suddenly realized halfway through that they couldn't make it into a companion anymore. That and the story was obviously a minor filler before going into the Five Doctors, because, matter of fact, it was so much so that apparently on VHS releases it was tied together. So yeah, there was a few interesting ideas, but to actually get them realized on screen was just not happening for this one, sadly.
All right. Now, Aaron, you may speak. Your final thoughts.
Now let me talk. I didn't find it like super bad. It wasn't painful to sit through. It was just a little bit confusing in episode 2. I kind of liked that it was kind of short, but I do think that the Master was the wrong villain for this. I think they should have found some way of reincorporating the monk, or maybe even you could probably even try to do a direct historical, but I don't know. That would be, 2 in a row with Black Orchid?
No, Black Orchid was pre-Adric's death.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
That
they
was a
could have
couple
done a
seasons
straight
ago.
up, they could have done a straight up historical.
And this would have been the last historical.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So, but
No wonder they stopped historicals.
I didn't hate it, but I did find it, unlike, Keeper of Traken that had similar kind of decent costuming and sets, unlike that, this is a bit more forgettable, I should say.
All right. Is that everything?
Yep.
Okay, so my thought is that this episode's a bit of a mess. It was probably hastily drafted to add Kamelion into the project, and then by the time they're in the middle of filming, they decided it's a bad idea. And
It was too late to destroy him.
Too late to destroy him, but they had already been commissioned for 22 episodes and needed to finish the season, so they had to do it anyway because they had no time to make up something else. Plus, and I mean, it looks like the episode itself was hastily written. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It was included the Master because, hey, the Master anniversary has to have the Master. And they really could have not had the Master in there because he was in the next serial anyway. It would have been more fun to have been the monk or somebody else. The monk traveling out in space had acquired this robot, which he was using, It would have at least been more interesting. But they went with the Master, and it was the bad mistake. They didn't finish developing the episode, and it was a bad mistake, and they bought Kamelion, and it was a mistake. This episode is one series of mistakes after another. And all of it is pretty much on the head of John Nathan Turner, because he was the one that pushed for it. Although Eric Saward also bought into it too. So basically this was a snow job that the Doctor Who staff fell for. Because they wanted to be cutting edgy. Look, we can have a 3PO. No.
Nope. Not when it's made by Koch, kid.
All right, so let's go with reviews. Or ratings, I should say. Thomas is first, and he generously gave this a 2.5. He said if it gone longer, it would have been lower.
Yeah. I'm sitting here waffling between a 2 and a 2.5, but the more we talk about it, the less esteem I hold for it, so I guess I'll go with the 2.
All right. The less enthusiastic you become.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I believe you're next, or is it Tim or Matt that's next? It is Tim.
It is
Tim.
Well, I'm going to give this a 2.5 because I'm a nice guy.
Being generous with the 2.5. Matt.
I would almost rate it as mediocre if it wasn't for Kamelion, and it's just like, Yeah, 2.5. This was just sloppy. Didn't hate it, but I don't like it.
Aaron.
3. I would say 3.
I was debating with 3, but I decided on 2.5.
All right. I'm going to be with Bill and give this a 2. I'm almost tempted to give it lower, but it's at least time flight levels of crap to me. Yeah, I'll give it a 2, but it's only getting a 2 because of the song. Otherwise, it'd be down to a 1.5, which I think would have been the lowest I've given anything in a long time. But it had the song, and I remember the song, and I like the song. So you get a 2. And that goes through to an average of 2.4. Which is going to put us right below Time Flight now. Because somebody had to give it a generous review.
Shame.
All right.
Not shaming you for missing the episode now. We're shaming you for such a high score.
Literally, Time Flight comes in at 207. The King's Demons comes in at 208 out of 227 things reviewed. It is on par with... Actually, apparently Time Flight comes in at a 2.4 as well. So, hey, just comes out with a higher 2.4. So it's on par with Time Flight, The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon, Listen, Let's Kill Hitler, and A Christmas Carol. Wow. It is better than Trouble in Paradise, The Wedding of River Song, Torchwood Day 1, and is worse than The Sontaran Experiment.
Ouch.
So there you go. Bill wanted crawlers. There's 2 big stinking crawlers right there. 208 out of 227. That's all we have to say about the King's Demon.
Other than we sing in praise of Total War.
Yeah. No, we come in praise of Total War.
No, we sing in praise.
Oh, we sing in praise?
Yep, I'm looking at their lyrics.
I've been saying it wrong for 40 years.
I'm looking literally at the lyrics. As a matter of fact, actually, I recall that we sing. I don't know why you twisted slightly. Anyway,
all right.
Bill.
So if you enjoy listening to us argue about lyrics, please subscribe to us on Twitch and on YouTube. Speaking of which, apparently our YouTube has recently reached 50 subscribers. So go for that 100 mark now.
Yeah.
You can also follow us.
Thank you all, guys.
Yep, absolutely. You can also follow us at facebook.com/Unearthly Podcast and twitter.com/Unearthly Pod. And if you want to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/Unearthly Podcast, where they will not be unrolling the really stupid changes to Patreon fees that they were planning to.
Oh, they're taking that back?
Yes, Patreon recently realized that with all the backlash and all the people quitting Patreon, that they should not do it.
Or looking for alternatives for Patreon. Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. At least they're owning
Patrons is like, oh, you guys are fine with taking the blow from your fan base? Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah. At least they're owning up to it and undoing it before it took effect and going, no, that's not a bug, that's a feature. Yeah, they're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unlike someone else.
Yeah. All right. So next week, we've already done the 5 Doctors. We did it a while ago. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to move on to the final appearance of the Master in the Davidson era, and also, thankfully, the final appearance of Kamelion. From the island of Lazarus, we go to the Planet of Fire, written by Peter Grimwade and starring Peter Davidson as the Doctor, Mark Strickson as Turlo, Gerald Flood as the voice of Kamelion, Anthony Ainley as the Master, and introducing Nicola Bryant as Perpigelion Perry Brown.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay!
Yes, we slowly close down to the one companion per serial era.
Yeah, I think at the end of this is when they hit it.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Night.
Need Aramem in a TV serial.
Mhm.